Hi there, everybody, and welcome to a brand new podcast and YouTube show, The 22 Dropouts. Why the 22 Dropouts? Well, the name's pretty self-explanatory, really. Most of us are rugby refs. Some of us are engaged in the game in a very different way. And tonight, the dropouts that are joining us are, first of all, Tom. Say hello, Tom.
Hi everyone, my name's Tom from Kent, go to university in Gloucester, involved in refereeing, coaching and also a member of the RFU's National Youth Council.
Thanks, I just said say hello then, mate.
Screw me over.
It's a bit of an in-joke, guys, so something we did to him in rehearsals at the weekend. Chris, say hello, tell us who you are, where you come from.
My name's Chris. I'm 19 years old from Stoke. I'm a level 7 rugby referee, reffing in Notts, Links and Derby. Been doing that for 3 seasons. Played until I was 14, realised I was utter crap, so picked up a whistle instead.
Yeah, I didn't want that much, but never mind.
To be fair, but there we are.
I'm sure you're going to get a date out of that. So, Sam, we're going to call Sammy, because we've got 2 Sams on board. Sammy, off you go.
Hello, I'm Sam. I'm a level 6 referee within NLD, same society as Chris. Yeah, that's it really. Nothing too fancy.
I think Sammy suits you better than just Sam, to be fair. I like Sammy.
And let's have a look at the other Sam then, all the way over in Malta via Scotland.
Hey, how you doing? Yeah, my name's Samuel, or Sam for short, and yeah, I'm out in Malta and a referee coach, and unfortunately, I have the pleasure of knowing all of you guys.
Hey. Lucky mate.
Now, Sam, I do like your picture that you sent in. Very nice, very professional. But actually, boys, what do you think about this one that I've also got hold of? Have a look at this.
I love it.
Mate, what is going on with that hair?
It's got contrast from your bald patch on top, innit, mate?
So come on, Sam. There's a story there. Tell us all.
Yeah, that was a few years back. You know, when I was slim and athletic. Yeah, no, basically it was a charity event, which we all get behind. It's Patino Cares in Malta, which is obviously a charity that we all back in the rugby world and other associations in Malta. And it was, like I said, a charity event. It was a bit of fun games, and as you can see, I've just actually came off the pitch. If you look at the picture, I'm still trying to take my watch off while I was getting ready for actually going on playing. Yeah, it was quite a bit of fun, and it was, let's just say it was interesting actually trying to scrum with all that hair. And yes, I do play in the scrum.
Yeah. All the way over in the States, we've got Roy. Say hello, Roy.
Hello, Roy.
There's always one smart, isn't there?
Originally from Malvern in Worcestershire, been here in Florida for 28 years, referee coach, and president of the Florida Referees Association.
So that looks like quite an interesting photo there, Roy. Tell us a bit more about it.
Okay, so when you said you wanted a photo, I decided that it will be a good thing, since we're all trying to get to know each other, to do something that wasn't rugby related. So when you look at the left-hand side of the picture, that is taken in November 1990, just after my arrival in Saudi Arabia for the build-up of the First Gulf War, sitting on top of my Warrior armored personnel carrier. With another officer from the Staffordshire Regiment, which is what I was part of. And the right-hand picture was taken last summer, which is the first time we had seen each other since 1991, sitting on the back of my vehicle here in Florida, recreating the pose.
Lovely.
Very nice. Well done, mate. All the way over in Kenya now, it's Lawrence.
Hello all, Lawrence Sugar from Kenya. I do a little bit of refereeing here and there, just making my way to the world of refereeing.
Now, Lawrence has sent us a couple of photos. There's that one there that you can see him with Rasta. But have a look at this one. Isn't he a little baby? Is that since I'm
Bless him.
How old were you there, bud?
I was 14 then.
14. You still are, aren't you? So we've all seen the ITV's campaign for mental health, Get Britain Talking. And I suppose in this sort of period of global lockdown, it was one of the reasons that we decided to start having a virtual beer with a bunch of mates. And that's how this podcast and show started. So we'd like to say, all of us together, Get Britain Talking, because it's really important for everybody. Get on a platform like we do here. Chat to your friends who are just around the corner. Those of you that to take on team sports like we do, it's quite lonely when you're not with that group of people 3 or 4 times a week. So think of those people who perhaps don't have the big families to chat to, who you haven't spoken to in a week or 2 since the lockdown started. And why don't you pick up the phone? Why don't you start a video chat? And at the end of the day, guys, let's all get
Britain Talking.
There's been a lot of other stories going around in rugby recently. That there's been a lot of work going on behind the scenes that we perhaps might not appreciate, and none more so over in the US with USA Rugby filing for bankruptcy at the end of last month. Roy, can you shed some light on that and tell us what you're drinking today over there?
Okay, drinking, you can't see it, drinking it out of my tankard, but I'm drinking a beer from my local brewery, Sailfish Brewery, in Fort Pierce, Florida, Triggerfish Porter.
Oh, that sounds nice. Well, I'm joining you on the porter tonight. Here's mine. This is Plum Porter from Titanic Brewery, based in Stoke-on-Trent, and of course the Captain Smith of the Titanic grew up in Stoke-on-Trent, and I've even got it in my jug from the Titanic Museum in Belfast. So, Roy, cheers to you, mate.
Cheers.
You're welcome. I got you that as a present when I went over. I think that's the first time you ever used it.
No, it's been in the dishwasher a few times, which is why it's faded. So, Roy, what's going on over in America with rugby, mate?
So what's going on? USA Rugby, as you so rightly said, has filed for bankruptcy. In this country, we have 2 chapters of bankruptcy, Chapter 11 and Chapter 7. They have filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which, if approved by the bankruptcy courts, allows them to stay as a corporate entity and attempt to restructure and refinance debt and come out of it in one piece, somewhat, hopefully, for the better. If the court does not accept their plan, or they fail to maintain the hurdles that are set for them by the Chapter 11 bankruptcy, then they will be forced to file Chapter 7 bankruptcy, where they will cease to exist. So as of right now, we're waiting for a ruling on the filing of Chapter 11 to find out whether they'll be allowed to go through with it. Hopefully they will, but there's a few variables there, including how much financial support they're going to get from World Rugby to tide them over.
So what do you think this actually means for USA Rugby at the moment?
At the moment, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, or fortunately from them, there's no rugby going on, so it doesn't affect anybody. The current situation, I mean, this would have happened anyway, regardless of what we're experiencing and the lockdown we're experiencing. It sped the process up. Because they had no income coming into USA Rugby from dues or from tournaments or anything else that they use for income. So it just sped the process up a little bit. But basically what it means for us at the moment is every organization, and the way the USA Rugby is set up is there are constituent bodies throughout the country, like Florida. One up from me is Southeast then you've got Deep South. So you've got regions all over the country, and you've got regions of players' unions, and then you've got regions of referee unions. And there are so many different stakeholders in the game that we are all looking for the best way forward. The college organizations, the National Small College Rugby Organization, which is about to change its name, take out small, is going to become the National College Rugby Organization. They are basically going independent. They're going to be doing their own membership, their own dues, their own insurance. The other college organization is on the fence. High school and youth rugby is looking at the possibility of creating its own entity as well. So there's a lot of spin-offs. A lot of the unions, I know my union here, Florida Union, is looking at potentially going independent. As referees, we're sitting on the fence right now. We actually have a conference call on Wednesday evening for all of the presidents of all the referees societies around the country to discuss, exactly that. What's our way forward? The biggest thing for us is insurance, liability insurance. The only thing that USA Rugby does for me as the president of the Referees Association here in Florida is provide me liability insurance for my referees. When they pay dues to USA Rugby, they are covered by a blanket liability policy. That goes away in August. So what happens after August, we don't know. There is another organization in this country called the National Association of Sports Officials, which provides actually much better coverage. And so the general consensus is at the moment we're all going to go and sign up for that. But as with all insurance, the more people you have sign up, the cheaper it is. So it will be cheaper if we have the referees throughout the country under one organization go for insurance rather than me take the 40 Florida referees and try and get insurance. So that's kind of the purpose, hopefully, of the conference call on Wednesday, is to figure out how we're going to proceed.
So this lockdown at the moment, the coronavirus, how's obviously all sports stopped, but how does that impact on your league? Because we've seen an impact here, which we'll talk about in a few minutes' time. But what's that actually meant over in the States? How's the league structured?
The league is structured. Basically, we have, if you work backwards, the national club tournaments normally happen towards the end of May. The playoffs throughout May, and then the national championships either the end of May or beginning of June. Working back from that, the season depends on where you are in the country and when you can or cannot play, depending on the weather. But here in Florida, our season towards the national championship starts beginning of December and runs through now, all the way through now through the spring, leading up to our state championships normally happening mid to late April. And then from there, the state champions go into the South playoffs, and then the national, regional, East and West, and then the national championships from there. So there is nothing. Our entire season has been cancelled. There is no, the 2019-2020 season has just been written off. There will be no national championships. There's nothing.
So what does that mean for the leagues? Are they coming up with a way of finishing the leagues? MLR, does it have promotion relegation?
No, MLR has no promotion relegation because there is only one division, and they just cancelled the season as well. So there will be no national champions. There will be no MLR champions. There will just be a null and void season.
Well, I think lots of places are dealing with it differently. Lawrence, how's it going for you in Kenya? And I believe you can't get any beer at the moment, right?
but I'm on a soft drink.
So, well, cheers to you with your soft drink, Lawrence. Tell us first of all, because the most important question here is why can't you get any beer in Kenya?
Definitely, the liquor shops and bars were all closed indefinitely on Sunday.
It's awful, isn't it? That's absolutely shocking. Of all the things you could close as a bar. So, Lawrence, your season's a bit weird over in Kenya, isn't it? Tell us how that works.
Yes. Okay, so we normally have this. The season normally starts on May, June, around there. So we're gonna have a 7th circuit in between for around 3 months or so. Then after that, players are given a 1 month break before now they resume the 7th circuit.
So what's that done to your season now? How are they going to finish it?
Okay, so before this coronavirus pandemic hit the globe, hit the world, we were at a very crucial stage in all across the leagues, because now we were in the determining stages, like sort of a playoff stage, where now the top 2 winners in each division will get promoted to the next division. So I really don't know how we're going to work out that, because quarterfinals already pulled, and so I think they just need to be played, but that needs to be around May or something like that.
Cool. Okay. Thanks, Lawrence.
Roy, what does that mean for the referees, for you guys across there then? You know, the ones that are actually like as a job, you know, like a full-time job as a ref? Then
there are, currently in this country, there are no professional referees. The senior referees in the country, the ones who referee the MLB, and the MLR, beg your pardon, still only do it in their spare time. They get paid for it, but it's not a full-time position.
My understanding is that Chris Asmus from BC Rugby in Vancouver, he's the only professional referee in Northern America.
Believes that is correct, yeah.
Sam, you've got a little bit of a different structure as well over in Malta, haven't you? How's things over there?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, because of what's going on globally, our season was cancelled beginning of, I think, the first week in March. The Rugby Europe and obviously, through the government in Malta said, you can't come together as a group of people. So, that we couldn't do, we postponed to start with. And then obviously as the things escalated, we had to obviously, cancel the season. We have one division for men's senior 15s. So fortunately, there was a winner in that because they mathematically had won that league. And in regards to the cup, that was cancelled outright. It's the same teams playing each other over, and the same teams as in the league anyway. And all youth matches, obviously the same thing. Everything's just stopped and cancelled. So yeah, I mean it's drastic. It's a shock for everybody. But we have to do what we've got to get done so that everybody stays safe, and we can work through the hard times. We'll come out sweet and smelling on the other side, right? So.
Absolutely. So that's aside now, mate. What are you drinking tonight?
I'm on what they call Guinness Clear, mate, which is H2O.
I'll drink to that. We're all about drinking responsibly, aren't we, Sam?
That's correct, yes, unless it's the weekend.
I must just point out at this, we do actually like to drink responsibly, and we promote drinking responsibly. And H2O, Guinness Clear, is available for anybody who wants to or as in Lawrence's case, soft drinks are available because all the bars are shut. We've seen what's gone on around the world in terms of rugby at the moment and how that's affecting things. Over in England, the RFU made a decision last week, a couple of weeks ago, that they were going to end all competitions in rugby for the domestic season, except in the Premiership, and that's still to be decided. At the moment, I think the first weekend that we're supposed to be playing is around the 24th. Whether that goes ahead or not, obviously it's a very fluid situation. However, today there has been some other news in that Exeter Chiefs and Sale Sharks will be joining the Tyrrell's 15s as of next season. And Waterloo, Furwood and Richmond have lost out on their bids to continue in their franchises. Now, today, the head of women's performance, Nikki Ponsford, said in her statement that both Exeter and Sale, who have supported their respective Premiership men's clubs, would undoubtedly add quality to the decision both on and off the field. Interestingly, the Richmond women's today said today's announcement is very disappointing and upsetting. The decision to remove us from the league is yet another blow for traditional rugby clubs like ours. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I do see the benefit in having women's teams in the top flight linked to top flight men's teams. If nothing else, they have that sort of level and support around them. They have all the facilities as well. Guys, what are your thoughts on this?
I think, Mike, if everyone doesn't mind me coming in, it's a real range of areas that the RFU looked into when they assessed the suitability. Lots of questions going around in the women's game at the moment as to how that worked out in the first place, because there's some teams in there who are part of a professional outfit, but actually their own facilities and their own production is probably not as good as the professional men's team, but their on-field performances are as good. Third Waterloo is expected. A friend of mine who's within the team setup spoke to me today and said how they knew about this for a while now. They knew it was coming. Their performances weren't up to standard really and lost most games, I believe, this season. So that's sort of more expected. I'm sure both teams coming up, though, will add some benefit, add positive impacts into the sport and hopefully be able to promote it throughout their teams as well and build on their fan base to grow the women's game.
No, I do agree. I think it's really sad for the girls that have put in so much effort and the coaches and the backroom staff and things. I haven't done any of the Tyrrell's 15s this season, but over the last couple of years before that, I've done quite a lot. And I did find teams like Waterloo, to their credit, they never gave up, they stuck at it, but they're never in a position to compete with the likes of Harlequins or Wasps on that sort of circuit. I do feel for them, but there's a part of me that does say I think this might be okay for the game as a whole, although I don't necessarily agree with the way it's perhaps been structured. Guys, anybody else got any thoughts on that?
It's a lot harder for Richmond because obviously we'll touch on it in a minute, but their men have just been promoted to the Championship as well. So it's not like they haven't got the facilities to maintain a professional women's team. I haven't looked at the league properly, but from what I've heard, they weren't doing horrendously. They were always putting in competitive games, and to just get thrown back down to amateur status now is a bit of pill to swallow for them.
Talking about the championships and things like that, of course, the RFU has, it's ended the season as we know, but it's ended the season in a little bit of a strange way in that they have worked out who is going to, they've worked out all the league positions actually. And I don't know whether any of you have seen the methodology that they use, but just reading it here as an example. If Team A achieved 40 points in 10 home fixtures, it gives them a home average of 4 points per game. If they consequently achieve 20 points in 8 away games, it gave them an average of 2.5 points for every away game. So what they've then done is said, well, that particular team, for example, has 1 home fixture left and 2 away fixtures of the normal domestic league to play. So based on their home and away points per game averages, they were awarded an additional 9 points to where they were in the league. That's why we're getting some funny points down to 2 decimal places. What that actually means, so let's have a look at National 1, for example. So, well, championship-wise, we know that Newcastle Falcons are going back up. That was decided, and we know that Saracens are coming down from the Premiership. At the bottom end of the Championship is Yorkshire Carnegie. Now I think they've known they were coming down regardless anyway. Their on-field performance has not been up to much this season. They've brought old coaching staff back in, and they've been building towards a relegation since January. And alongside that, I mean, they've been part-time since then. They're not a full-time by any means outfit. They're almost amateur status. And going back down to National 1, they're actually looking at leaving Headingley and finding a different place to play. And apparently talks are quite well progressed on that. But also they will lose the Yorkshire Carnegie and they'll become Leeds again. At the top end of National 1 then, Richmond are going up into the Championship, and 3 teams, Rotherham, Canterbury and Hull Ionians, are coming down into the National 2, which have yet to be organised in terms of geography. Looking at those who are coming into National 2, Blaydon and Harrogate in that 2 north probably, and Bourneville from the Midlands. Now, there's unfortunately for one local team to us, Macclesfield, they managed to miss out on promotion by less than 1.5 points. Tom, you've been looking into this, haven't you, mate?
I have, yes. Their season's been mixed. So that of their results, they played 20 games and managed to win 15 of those. That does mean they've recorded 5 losses. And the last part that I could find, or the last time that they had the league structure in place before anything else was brought in, before the RFU made their changes, Macclesfield were actually 5th in the league at this time, behind Blaydon, Sandal, Harrogate and Billingham. So they actually have done well to climb to the level that they've got to. They were actually 5th the last time the league was played. They've had a couple of games postponed. Obviously had lots of poor weather, but it's sad situation for them. But looking on their website, looking at their news reports, they're seeming quite positive, trying to look back on the season. They're happy with the way the season's gone for them, and they're proud of themselves as a club. Seems like they're going to be forced to be reckoned with in the Midlands Prem next year. North Prem, rather.
North. Now, Sam. Now, Tom, what are you drinking on Daddy's yacht tonight?
Well, tonight, considering that I've only got, I thought I'd go for a more of a nautical theme. So I've gone with a good pint of Doom Bar from Sharps down in Cornwall. So I've gone with that from the local Waitrose.
Local Waitrose.
Cheers to you on your daddy's yacht. Don't you think, everybody, that looks like he's on his daddy's little boat on the Medway or something?
Isolation, of course.
You forgot to ask the important question. Chris, what are you drinking?
So I'm on a local one from Staffordshire Brewery Leek. It's the Black Grouse Stout with a hint of chocolate. It is
save one of those for me.
So moving on, guys. It is a bit
difficult. Did he say chocolate? He's clearly, subsidising for something else, isn't he?
Well, you mean the fact he hasn't got a woman?
Oh,
Yeah, well,
come on.
I don't know if I come out right with it, but you know, yeah, fair enough.
So,
You can bash on.
so guys, look, it's a difficult time. We're all preparing for the 7th season, aren't we? Which might still go ahead.
Yeah.
Roy, how are we settling in for Denver and also Salt Lake City? Are we still looking forward to that?
We're still looking forward to it. Obviously, there's no one said whether it's going to happen yet or not. I mean, we're planning for it to happen. Salt Lake City being the big one, which will be a similar size to Tropical Sevens with 8 fields and 130 plus teams. And the weekend before that in Denver is just sort of a warm up. So part of the National Association and the High School Sevens circuit. So they'll be in Denver and then moving up to the main event in Salt Lake City.
So, what have you been doing then at the moment, Roy? When you can't do much else apart from sit on the back of your truck and pretend you're playing golf or in the Gulf War, what else have you been doing to stay active?
Kayaking in the river. You know, I've got a river about 25 yards out the window out here, and got a kayak tied to the dock down by the river. So go and do a couple of miles of kayaking when it's nice. I say nice, it's comparative. I mean, it's rainy and windy today, and it's a good wintry day. It's about 20 degrees outside. So.
T-shirt weather here.
So, Tom, what have you been up to apart from polishing the boards on your daddy's boat?
Well, I've been keeping myself quite busy. We were meant to have a National Youth Council meeting down in Bristol a couple of weekends ago, so we had a virtual Zoom meeting. You know, it wasn't the same as being in person, but we managed to get some stuff done, crack on some stuff, interesting stuff. A young match officials survey as well, so hopefully some stuff to come out of there soon. Otherwise, trying to keep myself up with chatting to people, planning for my season next year.
This is how you keep fit doing Zoom meetings. What are you doing for your fitness, lad?
Oh, for my fitness. Well, I've been trying to make sure I'm utilising the farmers' fields. So I've got very lucky to have a field opposite my house. We're able to do some fitness training out there, making sure we're going out for a regulated exercise every day. So utilising that. So I say otherwise, catching up with university work and planning for next season, really.
So Sam, over in Malta, it's not been quite as easy for you because when you finished your worldwide jet-setting tour of rugby via Wales, and I'm sure it's your fault when you came back from Canada that all the rugby got cancelled. But you went back that particular weekend, and what happened next?
Yeah, so the Maltese government thought it would be fun for to screw me over and basically change the rules 2 days before I flew back, which meant that anybody flying from any country had to do a mandatory quarantine for 14 days, which obviously, I'm more than happy to do it considering what's going on. So yeah, my 14 days were coming to an end, and then just a few days before that came to an end, they said, yeah, all OAPs 65 plus and vulnerable people are in now lockdown. So with no end in sight. So that's me now on week 4. Yeah, and I am vulnerable because I'm a lonely guy, I am vulnerable. That's why they picked on me. So, yeah.
And that's why things like this are so important.
It is, yeah. I mean, I've kept myself as sane as I ever was, which doesn't really say much.
That's pretty good for an old age pensioner.
Yeah, not bad. Yeah. That's why I'm wearing a hat, dude, so you don't see the grey hairs. Sorry, I'm more salt than pepper anymore. Anyway, that's for sure. But yeah, running around the flat for the first few weeks, trying to keep exercise, using the elastic band and stuff, doing some, stretching. And then just trying to do what you can do to keep busy, right? So today, for example, I sent out a quiz to my match officials and referees in Malta, So I sent out like a touch and go quiz, basically just a pub quiz, simple thing to just keep you guys active. We've had our meetings on Zoom as well, you know, and yeah, just keeping things going as best we can, putting things in place and see where it goes. Hopefully this will be over sooner rather than later, but as long as everybody's safe and, you know, and everybody stays calm, that's the main thing, right? So, yeah.
Absolutely. And I think you touched on it again there. It can be quite lonely being in isolation. And I think having friends that you can talk to, that you can chat with, that you can have fun with, I think that's really important. And you know, hopefully we've helped you along that journey as well, mate.
Can you tell me where those friends I can call them? Because, you know, I just don't know anybody right now.
Yeah, well, that has a few other connotations, and we won't go there in public. Lawrence, what have you been doing since the lockdown, mate?
So me, I'm just lucky have a field just across where I live. Every day, just try go there, do some few jogs, do some few workout, and then can call it a day there.
Well, some of us, especially when you look that young, don't need to do a huge amount of workout. So, there are other things that we are hopefully going to do, including some online joint daily workouts. Because it is hard. Sam's not doing that. I can see Sam doesn't want to do that.
No,
But when
I'm working from home before you start doing that stuff.
I'm working out really hard right now.
Yeah, you said it was a morning thing, so yeah.
But if you're used to being with people, then why not get together and do the workout in your lounge every day? Now it's time for the rumour mill. I'm going to kick this one off this week. So one of the things that's come up on Rugby over the last few days is about Greg Laidlaw. A prodigious talent, but a pain in the backside if you're ever officiating. He apparently set for a move to a Japanese top league club when his contract with Clermont-Auvergne runs out this summer. That's what's stated in French media anyway. It says that he signed for an unnamed club. He had been linked with joining the D2 team Perpignan, but that seems to have fallen through as well. The Falcons were said to be interested in him. That'll take him a bit closer to home, to the fog, the mist, and the snow of the wild north. Isn't that right, Sam? But apparently he's going to swap the snow for the cherry blossom. So that's one that we'll have to wait and see, and we'll see what happens on that one. Chris, you've got one about the end of the Champions Cup, haven't you?
Yeah, so the French Federation president, Bernard Laporte, has been in talks with Billy Beaumont since the last Rugby World Cup. In a month's time, he's actually going for the vice presidency of World Rugby to be Billy Beaumont's right-hand man. But they're talking of making a World Club Rugby Cup. So it could see the end of the Champions Cup to free up space in the calendar. So the way it would work would be there would be 4 teams from the Premiership, the Pro 14 and the Top 14. There'd be 6 teams from the Super Rugby League. And then there'd be a team from the Top League in Japan and the MLR in the States.
Wow, that's interesting. It's going to rack up your air miles, isn't it, a little bit? Roy, yeah. Who do you reckon would qualify as the MLR team?
Well, they'd probably just take whoever the winner was that given or the previous year and put them forward.
They actually put out a prospective table using the 2019 results.
Yeah.
So it would have been the Seattle Seawolves.
That would be interesting.
Clearly a fan there.
Sam, no place in that league for stompers then?
No. Yeah, I mean, you know, the stompers went over to Wales and played at Cardiff Arms Park against a local team there, and you know, put quite a few points on them actually and came away with a handsome win. So yeah, they're not too bad a team anymore.
Happens when you play. That's what it happens when you play the Vale of Abergwenny What's under 12s.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that, but yeah.
What else have we got in the rumour mill? In the rumour mill this week, let's have a look. Tom, you've got one, haven't you? About maybe a cross league, cross code.
Ooh. Yeah, so there's rumours circulating around that Jackson Hastings, the player for Wigan in the Super League, could possibly switch over after the 2021 League World Cup. These rumours are massive. I mean, Harlequins recently have brought into their defence setup a ex-league coach, so there is lots of workings between the two sides at the moment, but it's actually Gloucester that are reported as the outfit that are most keen to talk him over to coming over to the 15-a-side game, but it's a couple of years off yet.
Super. Well, we've almost run out of time for tonight's show. Anybody else got any interesting nuggets in the last 2 minutes of the show?
Yeah, I've got one, Mike.
Is it another thing about Scunthorpe's cameraman?
No mistakes made this time. However, it was sent to me on April the 1st, so with a pinch of salt maybe. Gilbert have been tasked with creating a smart rugby ball. Now they've created one along with Eddie Jones and others, and it said it could help match officials and commentators and help promote the game with more technology advanced decisions.
Tongue-tied, Ben Sands?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Technological.
Technically advanced decisions and make it a better way to find if the pass was forward or not. That they're always, have they got the right camera angle? Who knows?
Proper preparation.
Well, Sam, to be fair, mate, if there's a camera angle to be missed, then you're the cameraman for it.
That's correct. Yeah, I knew I'd always come round to that.
One day, Sammy and I will share that with you, and we might even show you the video now the court case is finished. Anybody else got anything else for tonight?
Just touching on that smart rugby ball, it's something that England Sevens have been using for quite a while. And they've said, it's really helped them because they can actually analyse every single kick, every single restart, every single pass. They can, that they can see how many revelations they're getting, how far it's actually travelling, the hang time. So it's really helping them analytically and be a lot more specific with their game.
I can just see if we bring a ball in that decides whether it's forward or backwards on the pass, I can see the game turning into American football. So let them use it in training and we'll just use our judgment. Anyway, guys, that's all we've got time for tonight. Thank you very much for part of my 22 tonight. We'll see you again next week. If you've got anything you'd like us to talk about, if you've got anything that you want to share with us, then please do so in the comments box at the bottom. Please make sure they're nice. We are all trying to get along in these difficult times, but we do appreciate your comments. You take care. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
All the best, guys. Take care. Stay safe.